Welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton. Thank you for joining me. It is Monday, November 18th, as I'm recording this. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. I had a wonderful weekend. We got a lot in store for you, so please sit back, enjoy, or put this on in the car, or put this on while you're working out, or put this on while you're, hanging out with your kids because you'd rather listen to me than listen to your kids. Who doesn't? Exactly. So great show coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's gonna be good. I hope you guys again had a great weekend. I know I did. Currently repping the Ferrari hoodie. It is Las Vegas Grand Prix weekend. I'll discuss that probably later on this week. I also got the Red Wings hat going on here. Not a great hair day. Red Wings are playing San Jose tonight. They lost both of their games in California so far. They lost, what was it, 6-4 to Anaheim on Friday, 4-1 to LA on Saturday. Not great. I don't listen. I want my team to win every game. I don't. I'm not a big believer in like tanking. I think you want your team to win every game. But there is part of me that kind of wants the Wings to lose so they can fire Derek Lalonde and just do something else than whatever they're doing. They are not very good right now. As a matter of fact, let me just double check here before I don't want to lead in with the Red Wings, but because I brought up the hat, I felt like it was, about as good of a reason to just, segue into the Red Wings. The Red Wings are seventh right now in the Atlantic with 15 points and a 441 points percentage, just above the Montreal Canadiens, and they are behind the Sabres and the Sens. Currently, the Red Wings are 4 points out of a playoff spot, even behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. If the Red Wings lose to San Jose tonight, it might be Jover. It might be Jover for Derek Lalonde. Red Wings have not been great on this Cali trip. They should have taken. I think I talked about. Well, I didn't get my hockey Substack out either on Saturday, which not great. But I would have said that the Red Wings need to take 4 points from the California teams, and they might get two if they're lucky tonight. Not thrilled about that, but the Jake Wallman revenge game. I guess he's got that going for him. Enough about the Red Wings. We've spent too much time talking about the Red Wings. Let me talk about my weekend. In case you didn't know, I didn't put out a podcast this weekend. I didn't put out a article. Sorry. I was in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend. I went to go see the number one Oregon Ducks in college football take on the Wisconsin Badgers in Madison. First time to Madison. First time watching the Badgers play. I have never seen the Badgers play. And it was a great experience. I had a lot of fun. Got to Madison at about noon Central Time on Saturday. And I was just taken away by how many people were in not only Wisconsin stuff but Oregon stuff. Like a lot of people traveled for that. Good traveling fan base. The Oregon Ducks. A lot of green, a lot of yellow, a lot of white with like I don't know what you want to call it on the shoulders, like feathers. Is that what you want to call it? Anyways, Oregon, great traveling fan base, but Madison was a great time. If you haven't been to Madison, there's pretty much like three main streets that go east-west that connect from like the stadium all the way to the state capitol. Madison is the state capital of Wisconsin. And then there's basically a lake at the north end of the town. And it is slipping my mind what the name of the lake is. Point is, there's a lake at the north end of the town. So pretty much you're mostly walking east and west unless you go to like what's called the U or the Student Union building. Some places call it like the Sub. Some places call it the U. I know the U as like Miami University, but they call it the U. So who am I to judge? I'm just some guy. Went with a couple buddies, and what's cool about Madison is just there's three main streets between the stadium and the state capitol, and it's pretty much like a mile and a half between the two places. And within that, there are so many different bars, restaurants. I think there was a theater. There was a couple different like vintage clothing stores. just there's a liquor store. Like there's so many great places to go hang out, and even if you weren't going to the game, you could just like bar hop all weekend. You could just have a blast just going from this restaurant to that bar to this pub. Couldn't recommend enough. Like as a college town, I love that and I appreciate about it. It's all walking. I'm a big walkable city guy. Um, you know, it was easy to get around. It was easy to navigate, um, and you can feel the energy. Like everybody's wearing Badger stuff or people wearing Oregon stuff. Like you knew the football game was a big deal, and that people took it seriously. Like there was no fucking around, for lack of a better term. They care about the football. They took it seriously, and it's too bad Wisconsin wasn't a better team. Like it's too bad this wasn't like a top 25 matchup instead of just number one Oregon against the 5-4, 500 average Wisconsin team. But I love Madison. Madison's a really cool place. It's way different than any like college town that I know of or like the experience I have. Like, how do I put this? Like, I was talking with somebody about this about like, in Victoria, you have University of Victoria, Victoria, BC. Like you have UVic, you have Camosun, but in Victoria is not based around the schools. Victoria is not based around UVic. Victoria is not based around Camosun. There are other things to go do in Victoria that make it exciting, that make it fun, that make it enjoyable. With Madison, it's largely based around, you know, kind of like Victoria, the government, but also the school. Like a school plays a large part in the makeup of Madison, which makes it a great college town because Friday night, Wisconsin beat Arizona in men's college basketball. I didn't watch that, but there were some leftover Arizona fans the next day that were there. Um, Sunday was Bears Packers, like Green Bay Chicago, so there's a bit of rivalry there. But you could tell like it was just a big party atmosphere in Madison over the weekend, and that was awesome. I love that. The people were friendly, the people were nice. I bought a shirt. I bought a Wisconsin shirt to fit in, to act like a local, to feel like I'm a local. Um, I probably wasn't going to root for Oregon anyways because they are part of the reason why they're in the Big Ten now, not the Pac-12 like they should be. So I was probably going to root for Wisconsin anyways, but got a shirt. I had my gloves, had a toque because it was about like 50 degrees around kickoff, and then it got colder as the night went on. I think it dropped maybe by the end of it into the 30s Fahrenheit by the time the game ended. And we were lucky where I sat with my buddies. We were in, I don't know if it's the south end zone, but basically kind of where we were sitting in one of the end zones. We were opposite from the student section where we were kind of tucked away from the wind. Like we could see the flags were just flying all night. You can see kind of the ribbons on the top of the uprights. Um, they were flying. They were going all night. They were going crazy. So we got out of the wind. We were protected. We were hidden from the wind, which was nice. But we still had a really good view of the game and the field, even though we were in like row 54 of section Y2, excuse me. Um, it was still a really cool experience, really fun time, and nice not having to worry about the elements, even though it was cold. And I mean, like I'll be honest, we had like some beers beforehand, so like I didn't feel the elements as much. Um, but I mean, the game itself was fine. Um, Oregon won. I think it was 16-13 was the final score. The cool thing, not really cool, but kind of funny, none of the scoring took place on at the end zone closest to us. It took literally all the scoring took place at the opposite end zone in front of the student section, which I should also mention the student section was weird because one of my buddies was trying to explain it to me of they don't let all the students in at one time. They let the students in kind of bit by bit. Um, like a few students can go and then a few more and then a few more. They kind of group them or section them together. So the student section wasn't full until the end of the first quarter. which seems a little redundant. And I guess I can understand on the part of the school and trying to make sure that everybody is safe and make sure that everybody gets in, you know, cordially. But like, I do appreciate at somewhere like the University of Washington where the students just go ham. Like it is first come, first serve. You get in and it's GA and you're in and that's your spot and you're standing there the whole time. And if if you leave to go get a beer or you leave to go use the washroom, that's on you. That's on you. And they they kind of group them together and in Wisconsin and Madison where some of you go and then some of you go and then some of you go and it's just I don't know. I at that point I would almost just open the doors up earlier for students so that the by the time kickoff happens, the student section's full. And it's not like it is, in case you're wondering, it is not a lack of student interest. Like the student section was full. Like it was all red, partially because it was a red out, where they encouraged you to wear red. But it was all red. It was all full, and it was buzzing. Like by the time it was full, which didn't start till about the second quarter, it's when it was actually full, and you didn't see a bench. So in terms of the game, it was fine. Neither team really played all that well. Wisconsin's defense did a nice job of slowing down Oregon's and kind of just bending but not breaking. Well, Wisconsin's offense was not very good. In fact, I think they fired their offensive coordinator on Sunday after the game. Phil Longo, I think, got relieved of his duties because I mean that offense was not good. There's only so many times that you can just do a shotgun handoff, run the ball right up the middle for no yards, and yeah, it didn't work. And they tried that like 6 or 7 times. It's like, you guys have anything else? Anything? Anything? Um, so Wisconsin, I think they were winning after the third quarter. After the third quarter, it started the fourth quarter. They do Jump Around, which, in case you don't know, they blast the song Jump Around on the PA system, and then the whole stadium is shaking. Even the players, like the Oregon players, the Wisconsin players, everybody's jumping up and down to Jump Around, which was cool. That was fun. I'm glad I got to experience that. That seems like something that would be way cooler if I was a student in the student section and I was drunk as shit. That seems like it would be really cool. Um, but basically, it was Oregon leading or Wisconsin leading after the third quarter. Oregon came back. They had a lead late, and I want to say like within like the last 2 minutes, Oregon had a 4th and 4. Um, like basically in Wisconsin territory. I want to say like at Wisconsin's 30, 4th and 4. They did a fake. They ran it instead of kicking a field goal like most people thought because the Ducks were up 3 points. So everybody's kind of like, okay, kick the field goal, get 3 points, and make Wisconsin drive down the field to get a touchdown. And they didn't. They ran a fake, I guess, trying to seal the deal, and it didn't work. They didn't get it. So Wisconsin had one last opportunity to at least get a field goal, if not win the game. And 2 or 3 plays later, quarterback got his pass deflected at the line of scrimmage by a DN, and it was deflected for an interception, and that was ball game. So there you go. That was essentially the Wisconsin Badger football experience, I guess. The stadium was fine. I didn't get to walk around much. We were there mostly to watch the game, so I didn't get to do a lap like I probably would have. Although they do a really good job, I will say, in the limited kind of corner that I was in. They do a really cool job of honoring the history and acknowledging past players at University of Wisconsin. So I'll give them credit for that. It's interesting going into the washrooms because they have kind of like saloon doors that you push open or pull back or whatever when you're going in, which is cool. I appreciate that touch. Otherwise, the stadium was fine. It's about 80,000 people. I don't want to like I don't know if it was loud per se because I mean, I think I've been to louder stadiums. Like I think the Husky Stadium in Seattle's louder. Obviously, the Lumen Field, the Seahawks Stadium is louder. So I don't know that I would call it one of the loudest stadiums in that I've been in. But I mean, there were moments like on third down where the crowd got loud and they did their part. So kudos to the Badger faithful, whatever the name for their fan base is. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much my Saturday night going to watch college football, watching the number one Oregon Ducks. And I will say, I don't know that Oregon fans were or should be feeling good after how they played on Saturday. They did not look great. They did not look like the number one team in the country. I will be honest. They looked sloppy. They looked a bit underwhelming. I was expecting kind of some. They were a bit more creative than Wisconsin, which I guess I expected, but I guess I expected more kind of top heavy. Like I expected the offense to be a bit more explosive, and they did have some explosive plays, but I guess I was looking for more explosive plays, more deep passes, more kind of creative plays, and maybe that wasn't in their playbook. Maybe that wasn't the scheme for the week. I don't know, but I was looking for a little bit more from Oregon. I don't know if that's going to change or impact how I rank them in my Substack on my football column this week, but they were okay, and Wisconsin was also okay, but different levels of okay in that Oregon just needed to get in and get out with a win, and they did. And Wisconsin, they covered. I think the spread was like 2 touchdowns. I think it was a 14-point spread, and they covered that, so that's cool. But I think there would have been a lot of people who would have loved to see Wisconsin pull off the win this weekend and the upset, but it didn't happen. Otherwise, again, in conclusion, Madison, cool city, a lot of cool bars, lot of cool pubs. I definitely would love to check that out again. Would love to go back. Go watch another Badger game. Maybe when they're good, or maybe when it's more of a rivalry. I mean, you know, or like interacting with Oregon fans and Wisconsin fans. There's not really a butting heads type thing. Like we were all just kind of friendly and just like, yeah, big game tonight, right? And I mean, I'm not a Wisconsin fan by any means. Like I have no connection to the school whatsoever. But it seems like it would be a cool place to go to when there's like an actual rivalry game, or if the team was better. That's just my takeaway on Madison and Wisconsin Badger football. So that's basically my big trip from the weekend. I'm going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back, and we're going to discuss a little bit of NFL, some recaps from the weekend, and then later on we're going to be discussing a bit of hockey and maybe some sicko sports as well. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on how much time. But yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We're going to do a little NFL talk. Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 like notable games, I thought, and I am including the Seahawks in that because it was notable to me. And I'm not including somebody like the Lions, even though I think they got over like 600, maybe close to 650 yards of offense against Jacksonville yesterday, which is not totally surprising because the Jags stink and the Lions are obviously really good. But let's talk about the Seahawks. I'm going to get the Seahawks talk out of the way first. They beat San Francisco yesterday in a come from behind game. They needed a last minute drive from Geno Smith in the offense to score the game winning touchdown, which they did. They got the touchdown with 18 seconds left in the fourth quarter, so cutting it close, but they beat San Francisco. Seattle gets the first win against the Niners since 2021. It's like they lost their last 6 games. It's Geno Smith's first win against San Francisco as a Seahawks quarterback, which is crazy to think. And I mean, kudos to the offense for putting it together on the final drive to win. Kudos to the defense, head coach Mike McDonald and company stepping it up on the back end. I think I read somewhere, not including the NFC Championship game a few years ago when the Niners were playing the Eagles and literally were out of quarterbacks, had no quarterbacks left. This is the first time, I think, since then, and maybe in the 3 years since then, since Purdy's taken over as quarterback, that the Niners haven't put up 300 yards of offense and they haven't scored 20 points. It's been incredible watching that run on offense. And I'm not saying that it's over, it's Jover. I think the Niners are still a really good team, great head coach, solid quarterback, solid offensive weapons. I know they're still trying to get healthy. They didn't have Kittle yesterday. It's just a matter of trying to get everybody healthy together at once. Making sure Purdy is healthy, McCaffrey, who showed up for the first time last week, showed up for the first time this season. It's trying to make sure that everybody's healthy and on the same page, which sometimes they aren't, and you guys aren't together, and you don't have that chemistry, and you still have to go out and win games. And San Francisco, I think, has done a really good job of that over these last few years. But yesterday was tough for San Fran, and again, I don't want to say that their run is over or that their era of dominance is over. I'm not saying that at all. I will say I think it's pretty clear, in case it wasn't already clear, that it's the Detroit Lions and then everybody else in the NFC. I think you could you could hold some hope for the 49ers before this past week that, hey, maybe they can turn things around with McCaffrey getting back. You could also, I guess you could argue the Eagles too could be at the top of the NFC, but I mean, I think they're overrated. I even though they have 8 wins, which is shocking. They're 8-2. I don't think the Eagles are NFC contenders. That's just my hot take. But going back to the Seahawks game yesterday against San Fran, it I was happy Seattle won. It felt good. The Seahawks needed that win. They just needed to not only get out of the losing column, but just get some momentum, get some good vibes going. And it feels like they haven't had good vibes in a month. I mean, they beat Atlanta, which was pretty handily, which was nice, but it was just trying to get some good vibes, get some positive energy after tough games against Buffalo, against the Rams. Now you have, I will say the loss to San Fran at home on Thursday night about a month ago. Like, you're trying to find good vibes, positive energy, reasons to be excited, and reasons to, enjoy coming to work. And yesterday's win over San Francisco helps that. And while I love Geno Smith, I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's underrated. I don't think he gets enough praise. I will say one of my kind of, I guess, galaxy brain, hot take theories is that, with how often you saw Geno needing to use his legs yesterday, needing to be mobile, get out of the pocket, create plays, scramble, on the run. I think that's where, you can start to make an argument to try and find a replacement at quarterback, because there is a level of haves and have-nots, where if you have a quarterback who could scramble and who's mobile and who can make plays, it's a difference maker. It really is. And it's then going from, let's say, like a Ben Roethlisberger mobile, who by the end of his career, like, he was just couldn't run for shit. Same with Peyton Manning. He's another good example. Just could not run, and anytime he did run, it's like, holy shit, he's running. I don't think Geno's got to that point yet, but he is in his 30s. He is still a good passer. He's still a good quarterback. Like, he is still an above average top 15. I don't know if he's shown that he's top 10 this year, but he's in that range of good quarterback play, and especially for what Seattle is paying him, it's worth having him there. Now, I understand if they want to go and find another quarterback next season who has, better mobility, who can make plays on his feet and can scramble out and make some incredible throws on a run. Geno can, but there was one interception yesterday where he's running left and he's trying to make a throw to Smith and Jigba, and he just completely sails it. And I don't know where the miscommunication was there, because you can kind of see Smith and Jigba kind of coming back into the field instead of going up kind of the sideline where Geno was thinking he was going to go. Smith and Jigba came back and he threw it right into a Niners arms, and it was a pretty easy interception. Now, I don't know that a rookie quarterback isn't going to make that mistake, which you know, I would like to think that Geno Smith is the veteran and he isn't going to make those kind of mistakes, but he has made those mistakes. Um, at least there's been, it seems like, one of those kind of mistakes a game. But I guess my point that I'm going with is that I I like Geno Smith. I love Geno Smith. I think he's a great quarterback. I do understand, though, if you're trying to find somebody who can make plays and extend plays and be able to scramble outside the pocket and throw on the run, he's probably not that guy, and you can find that guy elsewhere. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know if that guy's in college right now. I don't know if that guy is, Justin Fields, and if he just needs, a new place. I'm not saying that Fields is an upgrade over Smith. I'm just thinking of here is one element of the game, the throwing on the run and having the mobile quarterback. It's one part of the game, and if you're going to lean on that and you are going to find success with that, I think there are better guys who can do that than Geno Smith. And as we saw, I think last night in the Chargers Bengals game, having a quarterback who can scramble and run and create plays is valuable. It adds a certain level of, you know, it adds a certain level of, trying to think what the word is, but it adds something to your offense. It's like a little extra spice, it's a little extra paprika that you wouldn't otherwise have if you were just using salt and pepper on whatever meat you're cooking. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm looking for here. And I don't think they're going to make it, like, they can't make a change now. It's past the trade deadline. It might be an off-season thing. And I still, it's not that I have doubt. Like, I still think the Seahawks can get hot, go on a run, and make something happen here. But in terms of just critiquing on that, you know, heavy focus on that one drive at the end. If we're, doing a micro analysis on that one drive, and kudos, by the way, the guy who made quite a few big catches on that drive was Jackson Smith at Jigba, and he seems to be the guy that Geno has found when he needs to make a catch. He has really taken off this year. So kudos to JSN. But if we're just like micro analyzing this one drive, which was the game winning drive for the Seahawks, yesterday, and how many times Geno needed to take off and go run and make a play, maybe they find a guy. Maybe that's what they lean on more, and they go find a guy who can go do that. I'm not saying that they're in a bad situation now. I'm not saying they're in a bad place. It's just, how can you go from here to here, and what is it going to take? What do you need? So we'll see. The other big game yesterday, Bills Chiefs, probably the biggest one. The Bills put up a 30 spot, beat the Chiefs. I think Josh Allen is the only quarterback. I think he's the only quarterback to beat Mahomes 4 times, which is incredible, which is impressive. But it's not surprising. Like, I think we know the Bills can do this, and I think that's part of, people want to make a big deal about, the Chiefs are not undefeated anymore. The Chiefs are 9-1, and the Bills beat the back-to-back Super Bowl winners, and they looked really good doing it. And Josh Allen looked really good doing it, which, to me, that's not surprising. Like, to me, it's not shocking seeing that result yesterday. That's not surprising, because I believe the Bills can be that team. I also know the Chiefs are a really good team. And as much as I think Patrick Mahomes talked about it yesterday, as much as, the Chiefs love being undefeated and they can, have a perfect record and maybe go for that, the goal is the Super Bowl. Now the Chiefs can take what they've seen in this regular season game against the Bills and apply it when they potentially meet later on in January in a playoff game. And same goes for the Bills. The Bills have that same opportunity to do so. But again, I'm not really I'm not really worried about the Bills right now. I'm happy they won. I'm glad they got the win. They look really good. I've been saying they are one of the 4 best teams in football. They are in that top tier with Kansas City, Baltimore. That's a tough loss to Pittsburgh yesterday, but it's basically Buffalo, Kansas City, Detroit. That is kind of that is the benchmark for a Super Bowl team. And I put Kansas City in there because they have won back to back Super Bowls, but the Bills have been playing at that high of a level, no doubt about it. And I'm not really worried about how well they do in the regular season. Hopefully, they can get some home field advantage because that might be the difference between making and missing the Super Bowl is getting, number one seed, maybe the bye week as well, but getting home field advantage so you don't have to go to Kansas City, so you don't have to go to Cincinnati, so you don't have to go to Baltimore. Any one of these teams, you can play all, the playoffs can go through you. That's the difference with the Bills right now that I am curious with. They've always been a great regular season team. That hasn't been the problem. It's just, Kansas City's been a little bit better. Baltimore's been a little bit better. It's just, can the Bills finally get to that spot of being the number one team so everything goes through Buffalo? Who knows? Um, that is, I think the Bills are great. Love Josh Allen. He is probably, if not the MVP of the NFL right now. Love the Bills. I think the Bills and the Lions would be the best Super Bowl. I think that would be the coolest Super Bowl. Um, that's a Super Bowl where like each team could put up 50, if we're being honest. The offensive play calling in that would just between Joe Brady, Bills offensive coordinator, and Aaron Glenn, Lions defensive coordinator, going head to head would just be fantastic. So kudos to the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. They put up 30 points. They looked tremendous. Josh Allen with the big touchdown at the end to get it done. Well done. Kudos to the Buffalo Bills. Finally, I don't know if this is fine, but at least this is the third game I definitely wanted to talk about. Packers Bears yesterday. Green Bay blocks the field goal at the end. The Bears lose. The Bears haven't beaten the Packers since 2018, since Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback of the team. The Bears, I think they looked better yesterday, which is kind of crazy considering how bad they have been this year. But I think the Bears look better, which is important. Caleb Williams looked really good. Caleb Williams, speaking of guys who are making plays on their feet, Caleb Williams was one of those guys. He was not afraid to, if he saw, an opening or, a bit of green grass, he went off and took it, which kudos to him. I appreciate that he, made that decision for himself. He was confident in his abilities and he went and did it. That's awesome. I think that's kind of what you want to see out of your rookie quarterback. He made some great throws to Keenan Allen yesterday, to Ruma Odunze. Well done by the Bears for at least getting into that position. And I know Bears fans are going to be like, "But we wanted to win that game because we were so close to winning." And I think the Bears are just at a place now where you just need to take baby steps. And after firing your OC and with how bad this season has gone, this is an improvement. Like losing by 1 point, if you had told Bears fans, I think before the game that, hey, you're going to have an opportunity to win the game with 3 seconds left. You're going to have a game-winning field goal, potentially to win with 3 seconds left against the Packers. I think most Bears fans would take that. They would be happy with that. And obviously the defense is good. The defense is solid. There's not as much concern on the back end. It's can the offense get going and can the offense get rolling? And there were times yesterday where they could get stuff going and they could make plays. And Williams looked like the guy who we kind of think he should look like. So, kudos to Green Bay for holding on. Jordan Love with some highs and lows. Like there were some peaks and valleys in watching Jordan Love. That's the Jordan Love experience. I partially traded him in fantasy because of that. But the Packers are like 2 to 3 tiers below the Lions. Like the Packers and Niners are probably in the same tier, if we're being honest. Like I don't know that I trust them, even though I think the Packers are healthier. And I think the Packers probably beat the Niners if it was on a neutral field. I just don't love, you know, I don't love Jordan Love's play all the time, even though I think he's also a good quarterback, and I would be happy if he was my quarterback. But I just, he is a guy who's like, oh, you're going to have like a bad, and you can count on at least one bad interception from Jordan Love a game. And that was that the second quarter or third quarter where he overthrew his guy and threw it right into the hands of a Bears defender in the end zone. Like, you're gonna have that with Jordan Love, I understand, but if you're Jordan Love, I need you to not do that, buddy. Like, I just need you to not throw the ball away. I can't have you wasting possessions. So, um, it was a fun game. It was an exciting game. I think the Bears are in a good spot. I think the Packers are in a good spot, and I think for all intents and purposes, that game played out the way it probably should have played out, and we'll see how it goes, down the stretch here for both teams. Also, quick shout out Chargers and Bengals last night. That was a really fun game. I did put in like one of my group texts. Somebody was like, the Bengals aren't going to come back and win this. This game is over, and that was like when it was 3 touchdowns, and I'm like, I don't know. These are the Chargers, and then the Bengals came back to tie it, and the Chargers eventually won. But hell of a game, really fun. Tough if you're the Bengals, but the Chargers are legit. Chargers are legit. They have a formula. They have they're kind of like Minnesota. The Chargers have a strategy. They have a formula, and it works, and they win games, and you can't knock them. So kudos, well done to the LA Chargers. Unfortunate for the Cincinnati Bengals, and you know, we'll see how the Chargers can do in a wild card spot come to playoffs. So, all right, we'll take another break. I'm going to talk a little bit of hockey, maybe a few sicko sports stuff, and then call that a show probably. Anyways, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. By the way, I put lights back on just because I got annoyed in the last segment about how dark it was. So, I like it. I think it's a little bit better. You can actually see me. Hockey. Blackhawks were in Vancouver this past weekend, and I get that I was like watching college football. I didn't watch it personally, but I felt like there was just not enough attention. I guess there are not enough people talking about Connor Bedard making his debut at home in his hometown, Vancouver. Blackhawks lost, obviously. I think they lost 4-1. They're not very good. Um, But that would have been a game of the week for me, and I'm sure in Canada it was probably a bigger deal than it is in the States because in the States nobody gives a shit about Vancouver, the Canucks or the city. But I don't know. I felt like it's one of those games where like if you're the NHL, you really should be pushing it and making it big. Getting people interested, making it a big deal. And I get that Saturday night is a crowded sports night. I understand you have college football, you have the NBA. You have college basketball, whatever other events you had going on. But I don't know. I didn't feel like there was enough people talking about Connor Bedard going back to Vancouver, making it a big deal that he's going to go play in his home city for the first time. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe that just has more of a personal connection with me. I don't know. I mean, I was clearly the better player who played at Karen Magnuson or Harry Jerome. I'm trying to think of any other North Shore rinks. I think he played at the. I wonder if he played at the West Van ice rink. That was not a great rink. They had good locker rooms. I'll give them that. They did have good locker rooms. It's such a there was such a height such a big drop off from like the bench to like where the actual ice was. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Tonight, Montreal's playing Edmonton. That's the NHL game on Amazon Prime in Canada. Go check that out. I think that's a really fun game. I don't know that the Oilers are back. The Habs are still not great, but that's at least a fun matchup of Lane Hudson trying to defend Oilers forwards, which is going to be cool. Which he probably actually isn't even going to be defending like the top Oilers players. He's going to be defending Nuge or Jeff Skinner. But it'd be cool to see Lane Hudson go up against McDavid. I don't know that he will, but good luck to Mike Matheson or whoever the fuck is defending McDavid. Again, Red Wings, Sharks. I talked a little bit about that earlier. I don't know. I always want my teams to win. It's cool when my teams win, but I have a feeling if like Toffoli scores 2 goals and I don't know William Eklund score like and the Red Wings lose like 4-3 in an overtime or shootout, it might be over for the lawn. What other games did I miss over the weekend? Cracker shutout. Canucks lost to Nashville too, by the way. Yeah, the Canucks are that's tough for Vancouver. They beat the Blackhawks, but then they go and lose to a bad Nashville team. So I don't know. I think Vancouver's fine. I'm sure there's a little bit of panic going on, little commotion going on in Vancouver. I think the Canucks are fine. Um, Evan Bouchard, by the way, though I don't know if you saw his performance on Saturday against the Maple Leafs. He was responsible for at least two, if not 3 goals. Like I don't know what he was trying to do, trying to clear the puck out, like a cross ice clearance attempt that hit. I think it was either Matthew Nyes or Bobby McMahon. Did not get out, and the Leafs scored. And then there was another one which was I don't know. He was slow to getting the puck. Like the puck went by him or something, and he was slow to get it. And then either I think Matthew Nyes or Bobby McMahon, maybe it was Marner. Anyway, somebody basically he didn't even like skate hard on a back check to get the puck. A Leafs player outskated him and outskated whoever his D partner was. Maybe it was Ekholm, and then scored. Um, not a good effort. Not a good effort from Evan Bouchard, and he was the one who was on the defensive side of the 2-on-1 with Tavares and Marner. Then they scored the game winner in overtime the other night. The game should not have maybe I don't know. I don't want to say the game shouldn't have gone to overtime, but Bouchard was bad. The Oilers' defense, I think, has been fine this year. I feel like they could use another defenseman. Stuart Skinner has not been great. He's probably going to be the Team Canada #1. That's my hot take. Is he's going to be Canada's #1 goalie at the Four Nations this year. Um, but I think Edmonton, I think I saw, has given up the fewest high danger chances this year. So the Oilers' defense, I think, is fine. You probably need another defenseman, especially with Nurse out, because the really bad Reeves hit the other night. But the Oilers could probably use another defenseman anyways, just because it's the Oilers and it's not only just the Oilers. You can never have enough defensemen. I feel like if there's any position that you can like stock up and load up on, especially if you have desires to go on a Stanley Cup run like the Oilers do, loading up on defensemen and then making sure you have a seventh or eighth or ninth defenseman just in case is not a bad idea. Like look at the Canucks when they went to the finals in 2011, where they're getting down to like 10th and 11 D man by the time they get to Game 7. So just food for thought there with the Oilers. Um, like the Oilers will be fine. The Oilers will figure it out, but just unfortunate bit of luck there, and the fact that one of their star defensive players just turned into a pumpkin and played poorly. Vegas Toronto on Wednesday night. That'll actually be a fun game. Uh, Highlanders Red Wings on Thursday. That's gonna be a tough watch. Bruins Red Wings on Saturday to see who. That's a real mid off on Saturday unless the Bruins can get hot. Yeah, not a lot of great games this week, I don't think, but we'll see. Red Wings are definitely on fraud watch. If they lose to San Jose tonight, that's kind of my big worry. My big fear is just they lose and then fire Lawn and then they start over. So, um, also, I want to give a shout out. I did put this in my notes. Shout out to the Toronto Argonauts for winning the Grey Cup. That's a cool accomplishment, seeing a Toronto sports team win. I think the Toronto 67s. I think the Toronto 67s were the one of the last Toronto teams to win a championship. I feel like could be wrong. Anyways, kudos to them. I don't know if you saw. It was in Vancouver at BC Place. The Jonas Brothers performed. Looked like they did a really good halftime show. So shout out to the Argonauts. Shout out to the Grey Cup. I did not pay 1 second of attention to the CFL. My fault. My bad. But yeah, that's the podcast. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again. I think this week. I don't have any plans really to do anything exciting this week. So should have another podcast out. Should have a couple articles out, including the football article on Thursday, hockey article on Saturday. So again, thank you very much for your support. Like this video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You can find all the links on our social channels, including Instagram, Twitter, X. You can listen to the pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. That's where we are. So again, thank you very much for listening. Greatly appreciated. Thank you again. Can't say enough about all the support that we get. So tune in later on this week for more good stuff. Thanks again. We'll be back later. Peace out.